Imagine waking up one morning to find out the universe just completely flipped its own rules. We're not talking about a star exploding, but humanity literally stumbling upon a physical, navigable route through time, hidden right there in the structure of reality. So what if the boundary between yesterday and tomorrow isn't actually a solid wall? Today, in this explainer, we're diving straight into a discovery that would absolutely shatter our understanding of history, law, and what it even means to be human.
And look, we need to get one thing straight right off the bat. Not a machine, a route. We are not talking about some clunky sci-fi contraption built in a lab. No glowing DeLoreans needed here. We're talking about an actual physical pathway, a navigable connection woven right into the fabric of existence itself. It's a path that could literally take us forward, backward, or even sideways through moments we always thought were permanently locked away behind the impenetrable walls of history.
Section 1. A navigable landscape of time.
So how would we even find this? Well, it likely wouldn't be some lone genius in a basement. It'd probably be our advanced deep space probes suddenly detecting these impossible gravitational structures, literal cosmic tunnels connecting different moments. Boom! Instantly, we've entered the era of temporal geography. If these routes exist, history is no longer just this closed book we read about. It's an environment, a landscape we can actually step into. Humanity would have to draw up a completely new kind of atlas. Not mapping out oceans or continents, but mapping out places in time. We'd instantly need entirely new protocols, new maps, and honestly, a whole new language just to comprehend time as a physical space.
Now just imagine when this news actually drops. Human reaction is going to shift in a very specific, rapid chain. First up, disbelief. Obviously, everyone's going to assume it's a massive hoax or some glitch in the math. But as the evidence solidifies, that flips straight into panic, which, quickly morphs into this wild, unrestrained excitement about the possibilities. But finally, society hits stage 4, deep strategic concern. Because time travel isn't just a fun scientific curiosity. It is an unmatched, world-altering power. And power on that scale forces everyone to ask one terrifying question. Who controls it?
Which brings us to Section 2, Geopolitics and Temporal Warfare.
The literal second this power becomes real, the stakes for global governments and militaries go completely through the roof. It absolutely shreds our traditional defensive structures. Think about it. If a state has temporal access, they have strategic foreknowledge. They can literally observe events before they ever happen. They get retroactive influence. Suddenly, a border isn't just a physical line drawn on a map anymore, and a threat doesn't just march forward in linear time. An attack could emerge from a totally different era or an altered sequence of events. The sheer uncertainty of that alone would instantly collapse our entire logic of global security. To even begin to wrap our heads around this, the scientific community would desperately and urgently fracture into 3 major branches. The physics folks, they'd be scrambling to decode the space-time geometry. Like, are these roots even stable? How much energy do they drain? Then the biological and cognitive branch would be racing to figure out what traveling these roots actually does to the human brain, to memory, to aging, the whole shebang. And finally, perhaps the most vital group, the ethics and risk branch. They'd be staring down the most intense moral dilemma ever, making it literally the most stressful job in human history. Just because we have the power to walk these routes, does it mean we absolutely ever should?
Moving on to Section 3, Rewriting Law and Economics.
Look, if you think technology outpaces lawmakers today, just imagine the legal explosion of actual time travel. How on earth do you regulate historical access? Do you and I have the right as private citizens to vacation in the past, or does military secrecy completely lock us out? Picture lawyers trying to argue a crime of causality. Seriously, imagine billing by the hour across different centuries because someone tweaked an event in the past that messed up the present. Treaties, constitutions, international agreements, they'd all be totally paralyzed trying to govern a reality where cause and effect just isn't a straight line anymore. And the economic fallout? Oh boy, just sit with this phrase for a second. Verifying historical investments. Imagine the sheer chaos and massive inequality if some group could just go test future markets or retrieve ultra-sensitive data from other points in time. The entire concept of financial risk, gone. Vanished for anyone with access to these routes. Those who control temporal geography would control wealth in ways that make modern monopolies look like child's play. Section 4. The danger of fixing history. But underneath all the geopolitical chess and the stock market crashes, there is this deeply personal, incredibly human urge. The urge to undo our deepest regrets, to save the people we've lost. Which brings us to a stark, civilization-level moral dilemma.
Is knowing enough, or must we also interfere? A lot of folks will passionately argue that these routes should strictly be for observation, like a museum where you can witness history but absolutely cannot touch it. But others? They'll insist that if we have the literal power to prevent suffering, to stop a tragedy or save a life, we have a profound moral duty to step in.
But playing savior is an absolute nightmare, and it comes down to this one undeniable truth. The past is not a collection of isolated events. It is a network. I mean, that perfectly captures how fragile reality actually is. History is like this massive interconnected puzzle. If you go back and save one life, you might accidentally erase another. Stop one disaster, and you might spark something way worse. We'd be tempted with a godlike level of control that we are in no way equipped to handle safely.
But here's the crazy, ironic twist. Discovering time travel might actually shift our everyday perspective for the better. The value of now would just skyrocket. Why? Because people would suddenly realize the present moment is the only thing that can't be revisited with absolute certainty once somebody alters the past. Ordinary things, a walk, a shared meal, they become sacred. Destiny wouldn't be this mysterious force anymore. It'd be literal geography. It would completely reshape our religions, our ethics, and how we view our own identities. Which brings us to the climax of this explainer. Section 5. 2 possible human futures. This discovery forces humanity right to a crossroads, and the outcomes couldn't be more extreme. On one hand, the best-case future is breathtaking. We step up, we regulate these routes with wisdom and humility. We use them strictly for preservation and deep, careful scientific research, giving us this unprecedented understanding of our origins. But the worst-case future? Complete and utter fracture. Nations wage temporal warfare, black markets spring up selling bootleg access to the past, and our shared reality just blurs into chaos. A discovery meant to elevate humanity could end up weaponizing our very existence.
So, what does this all mean? The crucial point we're left with is this final provocative thought. Who do we become when the walls of time no longer hold? Ultimately, this discovery wouldn't just be about where we could travel. It's a fundamental test of human nature. Can civilization handle absolute access without completely losing its soul? Are we actually wise enough to open the hidden doors of the universe? Just kind of let that sink in as you navigate your perfectly linear day-to-day.